Good morning. Hello, and how is everybody doing today? Today is Sunday, the 4th of January, 2026. This is my fifth or sixth video in my 30-day challenge. So every day I try to talk to you about things that irritate me, frustrate me, anger me, make me sad, or make me happy. I talk about all sorts of things. Yesterday I talked about screen time, about how detrimental too much screen time is to us as human beings. One of the things that I talked about was that if you don't pay for the product, you are the product. And I watched a social media documentary on Netflix called The Social Media Dilemma, or The Social Dilemma of AI and Big Tech, something like that. Anyway, so I was talking yesterday about how advertisers do everything they can to grab our attention, and they try to showcase their products and services, and they try to convince us that we must have it. They want to sell their product or service to us so that will buy, will spend money, hard-earned money, on their products. And ultimately, that's how we decide what we need or want. I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying, like, I have a friend of mine that he's looking for a color printer that'll print photos. He wants to photos, and he wants to create calendars. He wants to take photos of photogenic things like sunrise, sunset, landscape photography, portrait photography, all different types of photography, which I love photography myself. So anyway, he was asking me what my recommendations were for the equipment that he would need to be successful at photography. And he wants to be able to print photos. So I told him, I said, well, you can get a laser printer. I would suggest a laser printer, either Epson or HP or Brother or Canon. Any of those brands would be excellent choices, right? And so what do? You research, and so you can use ChatGPT and say, hey, I want a color laser printer between the cost of $3.99 and $7.99. Give me my options. And it'll give you your options. Well, AI is actually going out on the World Wide Web, on the internet, and it's scraping all that data off the web and presenting it to you. It's just like you opening up Edge or Chrome or Safari or your favorite browser on your computer and going to Google and doing the same thing. That's what AI is doing. It's doing the same thing that we're doing, basically. It just presents it to us maybe in a better format, or a more readable, research-oriented format. It's good for that. So anyway, I told him that those were the brands that I would select. Told him to he could get a refurbished Dell computer, HP, or even go to Apple MacBook. I've got a MacBook Air M3 with a 16-inch monitor, and that's what I typically use when I'm sitting sitting in my recliner in the living room while I'm watching movies or sports on TV. Back to screen time, right? So we use our screens for everything. And if you're using your device as a tool to produce content for other people, like I'm doing here for you, or researching products that you have a legitimate need for, there's nothing wrong with that. Gosh, I'm sure our forefathers would have loved the ability to have that technology at their fingertips. I mean, we have more computing power in our smartphones than they had in computers 30 years ago. And we have a lot of power in our hands today in 2026. And if you're using it as a tool, then that's great. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And my wife and I are always amazed at the power of GPS. How did we ever get around without GPS? We have GPS on our phones. We have GPS built into our navigation systems in our car. We no longer have to use maps. I remember when I was in Houston, Texas, working security back in the 80s, GPS was around, but it was only available to military and government. And so I had to use this thing called a key map. And if I wanted to get to an address in my city, I would have to go to the key map, which was broken down in sections, and it had a key on the back, or an index, to where you could look up the street name, and then you'd have to go to the key map section in your key map, and you'd have to look at the street numbers on the key map, and then you had to figure out where you were at, how you were going to get there. I was pretty good at it for a while, and then uh, I don't know. Fast forward to 2000 or whatever, the GPS technology became more prevalent, Now I don't have to look at a map anymore. They actually still sell them, but I don't have to look at one anymore. I just depend on my phone or my navigation system in my car, and I tell it where I want to go, and it gets you very close. And the thing you have to remember about GPS is that it's not perfect. And then when you get closer and closer to your destination, you have to sometimes divorce yourself from the technology and start looking around and looking at street addresses and find out, look at where you're going, because GPS will get you lost too. It's not perfect. It's like AI. AI is not perfect. It's very bias based, and it only has access to information that has been created and put out on the internet for people to find. Is it always 100% correct? No. Is it always the truth? No. Is it always factual? No. Is there lots of bias built into it? Yes. Why? Because humans created it. Humans created it, and they advertise it on the internet, and they produce content just like I'm doing now. They stick it out there for people to see and listen to, and then it's up to us as humans to research the data and find out whether the information that's being presented to us is correct. Is it factual? Is it non biased? And so I'm thinking of an example of that. And I think there's a thing called ground news. And ground news is a research application. Basically, what it does is it finds stories. A lot of the stories are political stories about our politicians, about issues that we're being faced with, and it tells you, and the best way for me to tell you about it is to, let's see, give me a second. I hadn't really decided to, or I had not intended on going down this rabbit hole, but since I'm going down the rabbit hole, let's do it. Ground news. There we go. It'll come up here in a second. I actually have a subscription to it, and I get an email every day from Ground News, and let me share. Where's my share screen button? There it is. Screen. Give me a second. Let's see, window. Let me go to the window. There we go. Share. All right. So here's Ground News. See every side of every story, and it's ground.news, and you can subscribe to it, and you can see all these things are scrolling, but it tells you left, center, and right. In other words, left is liberal. Center means that it's not biased very much, and to the right is, it's like if you're viewing stories off of Fox News. The liberal side of things, or the left, would be NBC affiliates, CNBC, CNN News, all of that. And anyway, you can sign up for their subscription, and you'll get an email every day that basically shows you the prevalent or the relevant news stories of the day, and it will tell you how much bias it has, left, center, or right. Okay. So that's just kind of an example of what I'm talking about. And I'm going to stop sharing. I really didn't mean to chase that rabbit hole, but we're just bombarded by lots of advertisements, lots of information. And sometimes you can't tell what's truth or fiction, truth, fantasy, or fiction. Like sometimes you're just bombarded with so much information, and depending on news outlet you're paying attention to, all the different news um, agencies have a bias, and they have their own version of reality. So, and if it's on the internet, it's got to be true. No, 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 no. If it's on the internet, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. It might be somebody else's version of reality and their version of the truth, but that is not necessarily correct. So just because you see it on the internet doesn't make it true. So that goes to my next thought, is that before you share a meme or a story on Facebook or wherever, do some research first. Do some research and find out how much factual that really is. And 9 times out of 10, you'll find out that there's a lot of bias, and there might be bits and pieces of the story that you're listening to or seeing. There might be some truth to it, but it's not always what it seems to be. Now remember, if it sounds too good to be true, it's not true. Anyway, where was I going? Oh yeah, let's talk about the fact that it's 2026 and they still have not. We're talking about the medical industry, medical researchers, scientists, drug companies. They still have not cured cancer. Now, back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, we saw a cartoon called The Jetsons. You remember that? They had flying cars. That was way back when. So as we grew up, we thought, oh, wow, that's technology that we can look forward to. Flying cars. Do we have flying cars today? Yes. There are companies that have manufactured drones that are big enough that a human being can sit in, and so there's your flying car. But they're ultra expensive and they're just not available to the general public. The general public cannot afford those yet. 10 years from now, yeah, we might be in the age of the Jetsons, and then we're going to have mid-air collisions, and we're going to come crashing to the ground, and it's going to be ugly. I don't know how they're going to maintain that or how that's all going to work. But no, we don't have flying cars yet. And we still have not cured cancer. Cancer takes the lives of a lot of people, a lot of our loved ones. I lost a daughter to cancer. And I know if you're listening to this, if if you have not been touched by cancer, you know somebody that has, or you know a family member that has had it. They may be in remission, they may be cured, but that's not the norm. People going into remission and being cured is not the normal. That's not the normal story. A lot of times you hear about how people die because of it. They pass away, and it's horrible. And it just infuriates me that with the technology that we have, we could put people on the moon, we can send space probes to Mars, we could do all sorts of things, technological advances that are just blow your mind, but we can't cure cancer. And I have to tell you that my opinion of that is that's hogwash or that's horseshit. We have the technology to cure cancer. And why is it that our medical technology hasn't advanced enough to cure cancer? I would say to you that it probably has. I'll bet you in a lab somewhere, somebody, some scientist has come up with a solution to curing cancer. But that would mean that pharmaceutical companies would be out a lot of money. You know, big pharma is not unlike the oil industry. Watch TV and you will see advertisement for uh, pharmaceutical companies that are selling Skyrizi and all sorts of diabetic medication, GLP-1s, so people can lose weight. And there are, wow, there are so many advertisements on TV and social media about a new drug that this drug company that Lilly has the pharmaceutical company Lilly has come out with. They've done all the medical research, and so they've come up with a new medicine that can medication that can solve all sorts of ailments that we might have. And when you listen to these ads, they spend, if the ad is, I don't know, 1 minute, 90 seconds, whatever, they will say that their medication will fix your ailment. But then there's a whole list of side effects that can possibly happen to you while you're taking that medication. And some of those side effects include death. Yeah, it could kill you. So is that worth it? Is taking the medication worth dying over? If I'm not even going to repeat some of the side effects that I hear about on these medication advertisements on TV. It's just ridiculous. So anyway, I want to submit to you that it's crazy in 2020 that our medical technology hasn't advanced enough to cure cancer. Am I the only person that thinks that? Please tell me in the comments. How do you feel about that? And I wrote a blog post on medium.com the other day, and they responded to me and said, America is the only place that has advertisements for medicine, for drugs. And I was like, what? That's crazy. So I did some research on this. So here's a clear, grounded look at what's going on with pharmaceutical companies and the drugs they advertise on TV and social media. Yeah, we see the advert. You can't get away from advertisement. You literally have to leave your phone in your car, leave your tablet in your car, and walk out into the middle of the woods somewhere in the wild to get away from TV advertisements and social media advertisements. And that's not a bad thing to do every once in a while, just to get away from the noise. Using the information pulled from the search results you triggered. So I asked ChatGPT about this. So I'll keep this structured, factual, and easy to digest. A grounded, evidence-based overview. TV advertising, still huge, still growing. Pharmaceutical companies spend billions each year on TV ads, far more than almost any other industry. The top 10 pharma advertisers spend about $3 billion on TV ads in 2023. $3 billion. In early 2025, TV ad spending by major pharma companies increased nearly 30% compared to the previous year. In 2024, prescription drug advertisers invested over $5.15 billion in linear TV ads, generating 413 billion impressions across 271. Why TV? TV remains a powerful way to reach older adults, the demographic most likely to use prescription medications. Wow, that is the truth. At 64, I take medication. Yes, I'm working for a paycheck, but I need health care benefits, which includes prescriptions, I should say. The older you get, the more the check engine light comes on and the more ailments you have. And yeah, there are holistic, healthy solutions to some of those problems, but some of those problems, when you go to the doctor, they're just going to prescribe another drug, right? Our doctors are just selling us out to the pharmacies. Water, it's the best thing for you. The shift towards social media. Even though TV is still dominant, pharma companies are rapidly shifting towards social platforms. Social media ad spending for healthcare and pharma is projected to reach nearly $6 billion, surpassing TV for the first time. Social media spending has grown 17 to 18% every year since 2023. More than half of Americans get health information from social media, making it a prime target for pharma marketing. Why social media? Targeted ads, younger audiences, influencer partnerships, unbranded campaigns, raising awareness about a condition without naming a drug. Regulatory challenges. Pharma companies face stricter rules in most industries. Social media is seen as a Pandora's box because FDA rules require clear risk disclosures, which are hard to fit into short posts or videos. The FDA issued 32 enforcement letters in 2024, many for video ads that minimized or buried risk information. This is why you often see long lists of side effects, on-screen text with risk language, links to full prescribing information, carefully scripted voiceovers. How pharma ads are designed. Modern pharma ads, whether on TV or social, follow a formula. Emotional storytelling, family moments, life milestones, lifestyle imagery, people hiking, cooking, traveling, a single memorable benefit claim, long risk disclosure section. This is where they tell you that, yeah, if you take the medicine, it might solve your problem, but it could also kill you. Death, DEATH. That's enough to get your attention, or it gets mine anyway. A call to action, ask your doctor, visit a website. Remember, it's advertising. They want you to do something. Examples from the search results include Pfizer's Prevnar 20 ad using intergenerational family imagery, Merck's Gardasil 9 campaign using empowerment themes for young adults. Yeah, they're advertising COVID-19 vaccines. Still, there's different strains. It's like the flu. It'll never go. It'll never go away. It's here to stay. Why this matters. Pharma advertising shapes how people think about illness, treatment options, what normal health looks like, which conditions feel urgent or common, which drugs feel familiar or trustworthy. And because the U.S. is one of the only 2 countries in the world that allows direct consumer prescription drug advertising, the impact is uniquely large. Well, apparently there's 2 countries. I wonder who the other country is. The social dilemma behind it. When you combine big tech algorithms, pharma marketing budgets, vulnerable people searching for answers, personalized targeting, you get a system where health messaging is shaped more by profit incentives than by public health priorities. That's the deeper tension. And it's the same kind of dilemma you've been exploring in your podcast work around grief, anxiety, and the systems that influence people when they're vulnerable. So there you have it. Big pharma advertising their drugs so that you can live longer, so that you can get healed of the ailment that you are experiencing. God help you if you experience all the related symptoms, which are some of them are not even repeatable on screen here. I could tell you one that would go, what? No, I don't want that symptom. It's crazy. It's maddening, actually. Anyway, it's an issue. It's a big issue. It's a problem. And we need to be talking to our government representatives and the House of Representatives and our senators. Why why hasn't big pharma, or why our medical scientists and doctors, why have they not cured cancer? What is the reason behind that? Somebody needs to be asking that question. Well, one of the reasons why nobody's asking the questions other than us little people is because it's big money. It's all about money. If there's a problem, how are you going to find out what the root of that problem is? Follow the money. Follow the money. And that applies to to local, state, and federal government issues. Somebody's getting money under the table. They do not want us to find a cure for what ails us, especially cancer, because pharma's making billions on it. They're making big money. And that's a crying shame, don't you think? What do you think? In the comment section, please let me know what you think about the fact that we collectively as a population, even globally, why is it we have not come up with a cure for cancer? And why are we paying big pharma, all these drug companies, millions and billions of dollars to consume their drugs? I'd like to know the answer to that. So thank you for listening to the video today. Please do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment. I would love to hear your comments. And yesterday I had 92 subscribers. Today I have 93. And so the third person that has subscribed to my channel, I'm sorry, but you're not going to win a car. But you are going to win my appreciation and my loyalty for being a subscriber to my channel. Thank you very much. So share my channel with your friends and family. You can support the channel by going to paypal.me/James Moffitt, paypal.me/James Moffitt, and you can buy me a cup of coffee. And as I always say, any donations I get will go towards the subscription fees that I pay for my podcasts, to produce content here on YouTube, and to help feed the homeless here in the Charleston, South Carolina area. So any donation, no donation is too little, too small. Anything will help. So this is Sunday, and we're coming down to this is week 18 of the NFL. For those of you that are interested, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. Do hiss. Been watching them since '68. Well, they play the New York Giants today, and they should win. They probably will win because they can beat weak teams, but they cannot beat. Wow. I don't know what to say about the Dallas Cowboys other than I've been watching them for a long time. Maybe next year. That's what Dallas Cowboys fans always say. Maybe next year. Maybe they'll win something next year. So I watched the San Francisco 49ers, and who are they playing? I can't even remember. The 49ers and the Seahawks. No, not Seahawks. Whatever. Seagulls, Seahawks, something. SEA. I don't know. It was kind of a lopsided game. I turned it off in the third quarter because Katie was like, "Can we please watch something other than an NFL football game?" And so I'm like, "Yeah, sure, honey. Let's go watch a movie." And I watched a movie. So anyway, for those of you that are wives of husbands that are glued to the screen watching NFL football games, the what is it called? Super Bowl? Yeah, the Super Bowl. It's right around the corner. We have like 4, 6, or 8 more games to determine who's going to be in the Super Bowl. Who do you think's going to be in the Super Bowl? I have Eagles fans that are diehard Eagles fans, just like the Cowboys, and they're like, "Oh, we want to see the Eagles in the Super Bowl again. They're the reigning champions, right?" So whatever you decide do today, try to get away from your screens. Everything in moderation, right? It's okay to have a little bit of screen time for entertainment purposes, but don't stay on it for 6 to 8 to 12 hours at a time, and enjoy one another and find things to do away from the screens, like reading a book or going for a walk or any number of activities that are out there. So thank you for listening. And without further ado, I'll say bye-bye. Bye-bye.